Welcome back, everybody, to the Wandering Samurai Study, in which we review and analyze every single act told in Rurouni Kenshin. And today's act is Act 13, The Meaning of the Name. Boy, oh boy, I think that the biggest message to take out of this story, or out of this chapter, is don't poke the bear. Don't poke the bear. It's that simple. If the bear is living its life, minding its own business, don't go provoke it. It's stronger than you. It's faster than you. It's better than you. Oh, jeez. Jin-e, I think, really just got what he deserves in this act. I don't know if he had a death wish by any means, but I sure get the feeling that he did after reading this act. Had he just decided that he was going to live his life the way he is and, just not bother Kenshin, not provoke Battosai, the manslayer, he would continue being a swordsman, maybe. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into the chapter summary, and we'll go ahead and talk about the highlights, and we'll go ahead and talk about what I mean by don't poke the bear. The match between Hitokiri Battosai and Kurogasa Jin-e has finally begun. Feeling the pressure of fighting the real Battosai, Jin-e switches positions on his form of attack, opting to be a bit more careful with his attack strategy. He decides to use a Shin no Ippo on himself for the first time in 15 years. Jin-e nearly dodges Battosai's battle jutsu technique, So Ryusen, but is actually hit by the sheath of Battosai's sword. Jin-e's elbow is crushed and his ligaments are severed. His life as a swordman is over as he stares death in the face. So, right off the bat, we find out why Kenshin is named Hitokiri Battosai. It's because he specializes in battle jutsu, which is the technique where you unleash the attack by unsheathing the sword in one fell swoop. And Kenshin is an expert in it because he can even use the sheath as his weapon as well. And we actually get to see this several times throughout the series, so I'm so glad that this is a thing. I'm glad that there was taken time within the act to explain what battle jutsu is, so that every time we see it, we already know what's up. I don't know, it's just a nice little addition to the chapter. The explanations of such things. It really just adds to the lore or to the understanding of, this historic narrative, period piece, I mean to say. So the Shin no Ippo works on the user itself, and I guess this kind of serves as a way to further exemplify that the Shin no Ippo is not a magic trick, because it's a technique, it's kind of like a psychological technique. But I don't know if this is properly explained to make us not believe that this is a magic trick, if the user is tricking himself into thinking that his body is made out of steel, or that Kaoru's lungs are suffocating even though there really isn't. It's all just in the mind. But, the detail about the user or the mind just being such a powerful thing that if we can make it believe something, then it becomes it. So, especially with Kaoru, who's not actually suffocating. I mean, she is, but it's all in her mind. It's almost as if the signal from her brain to her lungs telling that everything is okay has been severed, and the mind is just thinking that there is no air going into the lungs. Fascinating stuff. I'm very curious to how he came up with this technique for Jin-e to have. If this is something that's actually based in reality, who knows? Who knows? But Jin-e really just kind of reminds me of the little kid who's been begging everybody to play along with him, and everyone kind of keeps denying him, and so he finally gets what he wants. And it's not very good. As I said, don't poke the bear, because now he can't be a swordsman. And he's staring death directly in the face as Kenshin is, finishing off the chapter with the speech bubble die. Like, that's horrifying. It's horrifying that Kenshin or Battosai is that type of person. And I kind of had a little bit of fun when writing the chapter summary, because I made sure to go ahead and say Battosai instead of Kenshin, because the speech patterns, the type of dialogue that we're seeing within Battosai is very different from the way Kenshin would speak. And I think that it's kind of important to note that this is Battosai, Hitokiri Battosai, and not Himura Kenshin or Kenshin Himura, or the Rurouni. But one thing though about all of this is that I noticed that the chapter is really told from the perspective of Jin-e. There's a shift that happens in this chapter as Battosai comes out. We don't ever really get to see what are Kenshin's thoughts as all of this is going on, and I think that it serves for two reasons. It shows Jin-e in a much more vulnerable position, as he's becoming very tactful about how he is approaching the situation now that his life is really in danger, as opposed to when he was in control of the situation and Kenshin was the one that was on the battlefield and not Battosai. But also so that the mystery of Battosai is remained intact, so that if Watsuki were to decide that he wanted to continue exploring the mind of the Battosai, he has that wiggle room. But I don't think that he ever really does. It just kind of serves as this form of Kenshin where he is not himself and he's given into his killer instincts, and we don't really ever see this to be true later on in the show or in the anime or in the manga. We don't really get inside of Kenshin's head. We don't see his struggle from being Battosai. He's very calm, cool, and collected in the entire situation, which is, I think, why Jin-e being the narrator in this chapter is so interesting, because it just shows though that he really did poke the bear. He thinks that using the Shin no Ippo on himself is going to make things better for himself, but we see how that goes. And so now his life as a swordsman is over, and he is staring at Kenshin, wondering what death will feel like. And to kind of continue expanding on this whole Jin-e thing, he does seem to be overanalyzing, and I think that is really just his downfall. He just continues to overthink the situation, and of course it is because he isn't in control in this situation. But Kenshin is, or Battosai is calm and collected, meaning that he is completely in control. It's almost as if it's the Hulk, you won't like me when I'm angry. And we see that the kind, gentle soul that is Kenshin is not present here, and we just see Kaoru's face in horror as she sees the man that she's falling for, the man that she believes to be so kind and gentle, to be ready to kill. It's fascinating stuff. And as I said, the chapter ends with the speech bubble, die. And that is chapter 13 of Rurouni Kenshin, the meaning of the name. But for now, if you like this video, then consider subscribing to the channel and and comment down below what you guys think of Jin-e. I think that he's actually a very fascinating character. I think that this act really helped me see Jin-e in a whole new light, as we get to see him narrate his thoughts as his final moments alive. It's fascinating stuff. I didn't have a whole lot to pull from this act, but I still very much enjoyed it, and I do like Kenshin. So comment down below, let me know what you guys think, and we'll continue to wander in the next one. Bye, cha.